Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Namashrestam Manamapi Sachiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Dashagrajam Urupurim Maturim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Girivalam Mahorarika Madhavasam Prapto Yasha Patita Kripaya Shigurum Dhammatosmi Ajanulam Bhuto Bujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishvambaro Dvijavaro Yugadama Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataro Anapita Chidim Chidat Karuna Avatirna Kalo Samarpaitam Manujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipitaha Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratuva Sachinandanaha Uttama Adama Kichuna Bajira Jachiya Jileka Kola Kahe Premananda Emana Goranga Vidoya Dari Kola Kaja Goranga Maha Goranga Maha Goranga Namare Kaja Goranga Maha Goranga Maha Goranga Prema Vidana Parama Pumartha Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Sri Kuryat Kripaya Jari Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priyajanaha Sri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathapta Rajabala Bapahimam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It's a very nice verse we like to recite sometimes. Pasanjaham aho nityam. That it's time for confession. I am a pasandi. Pasandi means a demon. Pasandi in Sanskrit means someone who's an atheist. Pasandi means someone who's acting like there's something or not. Pasanjaham aho nityam. I'm always like that. And in fact, even worse yet, paraparada dharmakaha. my nature is to commit offense to everyone. That's just what I do. Kshama Shamam Hare Radha. So we pray, O Shrimati Radharani, please forgive us. Dehi me sadhidharmakam. Please make me into a saintly person. So there's a nice verse which is very famous in Orissa. It's a pranam mantra to Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And please repeat after me. Nilachala Nivasaya Vijaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha Jagannathaya Te Namaha Jagannathaya Te Namaha. First thing, I'd like to ask everybody to come really closely. Right up here. I took it down last week. I promise. It's okay. Please come close. We don't have a huge group. This is not like a stadium lecture or something. This is a nice friend. It's not very often when I get to speak with some of the old friends. It kind of makes you a little nervous in a way. Gurumaj's disciples are like the worst to speak in front of because they know the standard. First of all, I'd like to ask everybody a question. What is the painting of behind Gornitai? Can anyone say? Can you say? Wrong.
Shiva temple? Shiva temple?
Yes, but where? In Bhubaneswar, this is a Lingaraj temple, an extra credit if you can say where the picture was taken. And probably, I suspect someone painted this from a photograph. And maybe probably they thought it was a Jagannath temple. It's not. This is the second largest temple in Orissa. It's 55 feet high. The Jagannath Mandir is 65 feet high. This is taken from the viewing platform, which was made in 1901 for Lord Malcolm, what's his name? The first viceroy, English viceroy of England, who established the Indian Archaeological Society, and he protected the Taj Mahal and a lot of places like that. When he came to Bhubaneswar, they said, oh, this is also a very ancient temple. It's about 900 years old. You should please give us some money to help fix it up. He said, great, let me go inside and see it. They said, well, sorry, you can't go inside because you're a foreigner. He said, let me get this straight. You want money from me, but you're not going to let me inside. And he said, yeah.
Nothing's changed.
But we made a nice platform for him. And you can still see inside the temple, a little bit higher than this, you can see the ground there. This is definitely the Lingaraj temple. We've been many, many times. These are different smaller temples of Ganesh and Parvati, and there's a Nrsimha temple, there's a Satyanarayan temple, there's a Jagannath Baladev Subhadra temple in there. Many, many smaller temples. Just a note of interest. We saw. So, we'd like to try to say something about Jagannath, who's a very enigmatic, difficult personality to understand. I remember the very first time I ever went to a temple. It was in New Orleans. I don't know what year it was, maybe 1980 something. And I saw deities for the first time. And I remember trying to figure them out. They had Gornitai, Radha Krishna, and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. I was in front of Gornitai, and okay, these guys are like some cool couple guys dancing, you know, that's okay. And here's this beautiful couple, I can relate to that, definitely, it's okay. And these other guys, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, you know, these are like from Mars. That's what we thought about Jagannath. And many, many people have many unusual understandings about Jagannath. And that's not just the people's fault, that's Jagannath's nature. And we'd like to say something about that in the next few days. And we'd like to try to say something about what is the relevance of Jagannath for us. Sometimes Jagannath Ratha Yatra becomes just some festival by which we can proselytize, we can sell some books, get some people to come, collect some money, make some advertising, and we think of it like that. Of course, we all know there's a much deeper purport behind it, but that purport should be something which is very real in our lives. Otherwise, what's the value of it? We're just doing some external thing. So this is a very nice song we're singing by the medieval poet Yadudas. This is a famous song in Gaudiya Vaishnava Padavali. And he sings it, Chodike Mahanta Meli. This translation, not so good. From all the 4 different directions, all the different mahants were meeting together. It says all the great souls, but in particular, it's mentioned the mahants. And this corresponds with something in the next line. What are they doing? First of all, Koreye Kirtana Keli. They're doing Keli Kirtan. Their pastime, their Keli, their play is Kirtan. The very important point. Sata Sampradaya Gao Gita. And this is not even in the translation at all. It's very sad. 100 Sampradayas are there together and they're all singing very loud. Now, wait a minute. At the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at the Ratha Yatra, Mahaprabhu's associates is 100 Sampradayas. I'm not really sure. In the 13th chapter of Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a section on Jagannath Ratha Yatra, the word Sampradaya is not mentioned 100 times. It's only mentioned, I think, maybe 14 times. And it's used to indicate different groups of devotees, like the devotees who are the followers of Advaitacharya, the devotees who are the followers of Mukunda, the devotees who are the followers of Rupa and Sanatan and Mukunda, so many different devotees. They describe them as Sampradayas. And Srila Prabhupada, I think he translates them as groups. This is the first significant point for our understanding of Jagannath. He's Jagannath. He's not Purinath, he's not Odiyanath, he's not Hindunath, he's not Indianath, he's Jagannath. He's the Lord of the universe. He's the Lord of everyone. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing in Kirtan at Ratha Yatra, this is the meeting of 2 worlds. In the language our Guru Maharaj sometimes would use, there's Leelananda, Jagannath, who's Krishna, he's relishing some ecstasy of his Leela of Ratha Yatra. And there's also Premananda, manifested in the form of Prem Purushottam, Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is experiencing great prem. So when those 2 come together, something else happens. Apurva Paramananda, some unprecedented, astonishing bliss, which we've never seen or heard about before. Bhaji Chatudasha Kol. There in that kirtan, you could hear the sound of 14 different mridangas, which Gagana Bedila roll. They seem to break the sky. Everyone, Deki Jagannath Anandita, everyone was feeling so much ecstasy seeing Lord Jagannath. So this is Ratha Yatra, when all the Vaishnavas meet together. And there's so much ecstasy, Deki Jagannath Anandita, when they see Jagannath. It doesn't say there's so much ecstasy when they see Purinath, or, when they see Iskannath, or Hindunath, or the Lord of my group, but when they see Jagannath. And when they all come together, Chodike Mahanta Meli, all the different great mahants from so many different places, Koreye Kirtana Keli, they're doing wonderful pastimes of Kirtan. Why does it mention Kirtan especially? Maybe Krishna Katha they might not agree on exactly all the time, because there's some different moods. If Narahari Sarkar was there, he had a very different mood. Vrindavan Das Thakur had another kind of mood. And Advaita and Nityananda, slightly different moods. Sata Sampradaya Gaya Gita, therefore there was 100 different Sampradayas. They're coming together and singing. This is Ratha Yatra. Ratha Yatra is the worship of Jagannath, who is the Lord of the universe. And this really is the platform of peace. But we've experienced, even in our own society, this is a little controversial thing to start off with, please forgive me. But if you speak with friends, you have to speak very frankly. And then if you speak very frankly, you can come a little close. So we feel a little comfortable here. There are so many different groups sometimes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this in Krishna Samhita. He says some very powerful things. He says that sectarianism is a byproduct of the absolute truth. Interesting. Sectarianism is a byproduct of the absolute truth. Just like when you eat prasadam, there's a byproduct of prasadam. Happens to you maybe the next morning when you go into the bathroom. something we won't mention exactly what it does. It's not very pleasant. But it's a byproduct of prasadam. So sectarianism is a byproduct of the absolute truth. When acharyas first ascertain and instruct the truth, it is not polluted with sectarianism. And Srila Prabhupada, in this regard, he said many, many times, there's one letter that he wrote to the Prime Minister of Canada. He said this ISKCON movement is a non-sectarian movement, and our members include persons from the Christian, Hindu, Muslim, and other backgrounds. And those persons are able, they can keep their own respective religions and still be a member of ISKCON. Wow. This was Srila Prabhupada's vision for this society. And because Srila Prabhupada had that vision, it was relevant. And this is why so many other religions in the 60s in America, they weren't relevant. People didn't want to hear that about that. Let me ask all of you, be very honest. How many of you here before you joined, raise your hand, really liked organized religion? Raise your hand. You liked organized religion. That's very good. She's honest. Anybody else liked organized religion? How many of you really didn't like organized religion? Raise your hand. But we're here today. And sometimes we seem to have an organized religion. But we should understand the essential feature of this Krishna consciousness movement. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that when acharyas first instruct the truth, it is not sectarianism. It's not polluted with that. But the rules and regulations received through disciplic succession regarding the goal and method of achieving it are changed in due course according to the mentality and locale of the people. And therefore Srila Prabhupada, when he came, he spoke something a little different externally than what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta did, or our previous acharyas, because that's the function of guru and acharya, to give something which is relevant for a particular place and time. Bhaktivinoda speaks, though, about those rules, because those rules are not always exactly the same. Don't think that the six Goswamis were having Mangal Artik exactly like we were doing, and then they're singing the string of prayers and having Tulsi Puja right after that. And don't be disturbed if you find out they're not. Because the particular sadhana, the particular rules and regulations which the acharya gives are a little different according to time, place, and circumstance. Bhaktivinoda goes on to say, a rule that is followed by one society is not necessarily accepted in another society. Oh my God. I live in Jagannath, in Bhubaneswar, in Orissa, and we, on our parikramas, we have oftentimes get the good fortune to meet different Vaishnavas, sometimes from different branches of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's family, sometimes from other branches of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's family. And there are so many different rules and so many different communities. Bhaktivinoda says, as a community gradually develops more respect for its own standards, right? We have our standards, and our standards are important, right? Isn't it? Standards are very important. We have more respect for that. We want to maintain those. Then gradually, Bhaktivinoda says, that community develops hatred towards other communities and considers their standards to be inferior. That happens a lot. Oh, these people, they don't fast completely on Ekadasi. We do. No, they're not good. Or they eat carrots. Oh my God. It's a scandal. They're definitely going to hell. Bhaktivinoda says, these sectarian symptoms are seen in all countries since time immemorial. This is prominent amongst neophytes. So this Ratha Yatra festival, it's very, very blissful for the soul because there's no sectarianism. Because everyone is accepted, everyone is appreciated. This is the Krishna consciousness movement that Srila Prabhupada wanted to start. He said, we don't care. You may be a Muslim, that's fine. You may be a Christian. In Kiev, we were just at Ukraine a few weeks ago. The devotees were doing Harinam on the street one day. And there were some Ukrainian Orthodox priests watching them. And those fellows are not always very friendly toward the devotees. Sometimes they have the devotees beaten, some very bad things. But one of them looked very curious, and he came over to the devotee, and somebody gave him a book. He took the book home and he read it. A few days later, he came to the temple. This is pretty good. I'd like to know more about this. And he started asking questions, and he started coming to the temple and chanting. And he always wore his Orthodox Christian robes. Eventually, he became initiated. And sometimes he would lead kirtan in his Orthodox Christian robes. And he was still doing Mass in the church, in the Orthodox Christian way. He never gave up his Orthodox Christian, Russian Orthodox Christian responsibilities, his duties and things that he was doing. And then one day he had some pain in his side. He went to the doctor for some tests. The doctor came back and said, I have some bad news for you. He said, you have cancer and you only have a few weeks to live. And so he immediately went to the temple. He said, can I stay here? Now the devotees are doing kirtan around his body. When he left his body. I don't know if he had his robes on. Maybe he did. I don't think Krishna really cares. This is our society. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And this is what the world needs so badly. We're not the International Society for Building Consciousness, or money consciousness, or even book distribution consciousness. Although all those things help to achieve our goal. We're the Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we should understand that when devotees come together and they have Krishna Katha, when they have kirtan together, and it's non-sectarian, it's really for the pleasure of Krishna and Jagannath, it's so very, very powerful. And everyone becomes very, very much attracted by it. So, Yadudas sings in the song, Unamatta Nityananda. The Lord Nityananda, he's become mad. Unamatta Nityananda, along with his good friend Acharya Advaita Chandra, moonlike Advaita Acharya, Pandita Srivas Haridas, and Srivas Thakur and Haridas Thakur, and they're there in the kirtan, and everybody is mad in ecstasy. What does it mean to be mad in ecstasy? It means you forget about your body. It means you forget that I'm Haridas Thakur and I'm born in a Yavana family. It means you forget I'm Advaita Acharya, I'm born in a Brahmin family. Everybody just becomes completely mad in ecstasy of kirtan. This is the purpose of Krishna Kirtan and Krishna Katha. We should forget who we are for 15 minutes, for 1 hour, 2 hours. Such a wonderful thing. We can forget all of our upadhis, all of our designations, and just be absorbed in Krishna. Esa bhare sanghe kore, majhe nache gora hare, bhakata mandala charipas. It says that in that sangha of devotees, which is a sangha Sata Sampradaya Gaya Geet, where they're all coming together, Sata Sampradaya, everyone's coming together, and they're all saying Lord Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, not my Sampradaya Nath, or Puri Nath, or Hindu Nath, but he's saying he's the Lord of everyone. Everyone is so ecstatic. And that sangha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, and he begins to dance again and again. He feels so much ecstasy, because this is pure kirtan. Bhakata Mandala Charipash. And it's not such a good translation. There is a mandala, a circle of devotees, who charipash in all four directions. They're tying Mahaprabhu up. They're binding him by their mood and kirtan, their loving ecstasy. Hare Hare Bolo Bole, Pada Pare Mahi Dole, Noyane Bahoye Jaladaru. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to that kirtan and in great ecstasy is calling out, Hare Hare! And his Parabhare Mahi Dole, his feet, when they're hitting the ground, the earth is shaking. Nayana Bahaye Jaladhar. And from his eyes, so much water is coming, like rivers of water, coming from the eyes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Premera Taranga Ranga. And there's waves of this ecstatic prem in that kirtan. Sumeru Janiya Anga. And Mahaprabhu's beautiful body, his anga, his limbs, defeat the golden Mount Meru. Tahe Ashta Satika Bikar. And all different Satika Bikar is manifesting in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and in the body of the devotees. This is not organized religion, mechanical religion. This is something from the heart. And this is what Srila Prabhupada came to give. And this is why Srila Prabhupada gave Jagannath in the very beginning and gave Jagannath Ratha Yatra. It's something for everyone. And at least at Ratha Yatra, everyone can come. In Orissa, do you know who comes to Ratha Yatra? You have Shaivites. Some of the Shaivites, they think that Lord Jagannath is Shiva. You have some Sri Sampradaya Vaishnavas who come. Some of them think that Jagannath, no, he's Narayan. And others, they think that he's Krishna. Yet other Vaishnavas, they have other different ideas. Some of them think that Lord Jagannath is Ramachandra, the Ramanandis. And then the Shaktas, they think that he's actually a form of Durga. Some of the Jagannath Durga, some of them worship him like that. And the Shaivites who worship, even the Ganapatnis, the worshippers of Ganesh, they think that he's Ganesh. And Jagannath goes along with it. And he has his Hati Vesh right after Snan Yatra, Snan Purnima, when he has his public bath. He dresses up like an elephant, like Ganesh, because there's some Ganapatni Bhaktas there. Present also in the crowd, there are some Christians. There are some Christians in Orissa, not huge enough, but there are some Christians there who consider that Jagannath is God. And there are even some Muslims. There's one village in Orissa that's been having Ratha Yatra for many, many decades, and it's all Muslims who make the cart, and pay for everything and put on the festival. Jagannath is something when everyone comes together, not just all these different religions, but you also have Bollywood movie stars and politicians going there. And they're also worshipping Jagannath, seriously. What is their concept of Jagannath? They think he's a cultural symbol. And that's what he is. He's the big cultural symbol. And he's something everyone can agree on. You can't say that about Radharaman. We love Radharaman, but it's not that Christians and Muslims are going there for darshan of Radharaman. Maybe sometimes some politicians, so they get some votes. But it's not like in Jagannath Puri. So this is the platform of unity for the whole world. Indra Mars was saying a nice thing in South Africa, the Durban Ratha Yatra a couple of years ago. He said that and here we have Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and we have the meeting of all races. We have the blacks, Jagannath. We have white people, Balarama, and we have yellow people, Subhadra. It's a little bit of a stretch maybe, but why not? We appreciate everybody. So Mahaprabhu, Baba Baishi Guru Roy, he is completely in ecstasy. Nachita joy, he's dancing and dancing. And meanwhile, dire dire chale Jagannath. Jagannath starts going very slow. Dire dire. Ananda Bishmoya Mandeki Prema Sankiratan Nija Parikara Ganasata. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with great ecstasy, he sees that Prema Sankirtan of his associates. Nija Parikara Ganasata. And everyone in that kirtan, all of his associates, are feeling so very, very blissful. Dure Gela Duka Shok, Premaya Basila Lok, Stabara Jangama Pasu Paki. He said that in that kirtan, Dure Gela Duka Shok, there's no unhappiness, there's no happiness, suffering, all these lamentation, these things have gone away. Premaya Basila Lok. Everyone is floating in the ocean of prem. Stabara, the non-moving living entities, Jangama, moving entities. Pasupaki, the beasts and the birds. Prema Bilas, Dham, Jadu Kohi Anupam, Dikila, Seitar Saki. And anyone who sees these pastimes, they'll understand this is the fact. Dikila Te Tar Saki, they're a witness to seeing this thing. This is what the world needs today. This is our Krishna consciousness movement, a movement which really has no sectarianism. We have sectarianism also because we have everything. Some people want sectarianism. Okay, we also have that here. But that's not what the movement is meant for. This movement is meant to create a platform which people of all different religions can take part. In Jagannath Puri every year, now there's a number of Japanese people who come. And they appreciate Jagannath so much. They're not Hare Krishna devotees. They come because this is a real festival of the world. This is for everyone. They see like that. And our festival should be like that. our temples should be like that. This is a very difficult thing. This is a practical, honest comment. It's very difficult to avoid sectarianism. As soon as you have 4 people, then you have 2 groups. But at least for Kirtan and Krishna Katha, at least some Krishna Katha, we should be able to come together and feel some relief. Oh, there's no sectarian message, and not just trying to collect money. As Srila Prabhupada once instructed the GBC body, our favorite comment, Prabhupada said this chanting should go on. Instead of meetings, resolutions, dissolutions, revolutions, and no solutions, there should be chanting. This is our movement. And to fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is required. And this is Jagannath. So we'd like to try to say a few things about Jagannath over the next few days. Jagannath is very enigmatic, and that was the title of our talks, Enigmatic Lord of the Universe. So we'd like to begin a little bit from a distance and try to understand something about Jagannath in a philosophical way, and also from some of the tradition in Jagannath Puri. And then tomorrow we'd like to ask one of our favorite questions, as we try to address, Kotai Radha. Where is Radha? Okay, you guys, I know you Hare Krishna people. You're always saying that Jagannath is Sham Sundar Vrindavan Bihari Krishna. You're always telling us that. All right, if that's true, then where's Radha? I don't see her next to Jagannath. Where is Radha? And then why? Is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Radha Bhava Duti Sivalitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam, who's in Radha Bhav, why is he going to Jagannath? I did some research on this subject. We have a large library in Bhubaneswar. I went through maybe about 8 or 10 different biographies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, including some very rare books. And I looked for mention of different deities to see who was the most prominent deity for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Number 2 slot was Tota Gopinath. There was a few hundred references I found to Tota Gopinath. But otherwise there's 1 or 2 references to deity here or there. But there were thousands of references to Lord Jagannath. And Narahari Chakravarti Thakur, not Narahari Chakravarti Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, in Chaitanya Mangal, he describes that every day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going 3 times a day to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India and he was staying in Sri Rangam, every tirtha has their deity, and their deity is the best, and he's the first deity. And Sri Rangam has some tradition like that too. And they say that Ranganath was the very first deity in the universe. I don't know, we're not going to argue about it. But he's a very special deity, very, very beautiful. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going there to have darshan of him every day. But it seems that perhaps he wasn't completely satisfied with that darshan of that very beautiful ancient deity, Lord Ranganath, because with his own hands he made another set of deities. We still worship there today. I visited those deities, very wonderful temple. On the wall, in the Telugu script, are written 8 different verses. The first verse, if you can read it, someone was translating for me. Chaito Darpana Marjano Baba Mahadava. The Sikshastakam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshastakam is written on the walls in this Sri Vaishnava temple. Very wonderful thing. So who are those deities? Those deities are Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made with his own hands. A little human-like, looking a little slightly different feature than in Puri. We made a magazine, I have with me, about this a few years ago, called The Hidden Identity of Lord Jagannath, which we'll speak more about tomorrow. But I can pass this around right now. There's a wonderful picture of these deities that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made with his own hands. Yeah. Just here on top. Pass it around. The deities in Sri Ranga made by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal hands. You can show the camera. So, there's a very intimate connection between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannath. How do we understand Lord Jagannath? Prabhuji was asking me a very good question this morning. I really liked it very much. He said, I didn't mean to be offensive or anything, but isn't Jagannath like it's not such an important name of Krishna. I mean, the Lord of the universe, we'd rather hear about Radha Vinod, or Jagannath, or Vrindavan Bihari, or Yashoda Nandan. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this in his Harinam Chintamani. He says in the second chapter, Mukhya Gona Bhedi Nama Dvipakar. He says there's two types of nam, two types of names of the Lord. One is Mukhya and the other is Gona. One is primary and the other is secondary. And then he goes on to describe, I'll chant this, I'll sing this, and maybe you can chant Hare Krishna in response. Mukhya o Gona Bhedi Krishna Nam Dvipakar. Mukhya Nama Shai Jiva Pai Sarvasai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. There's two divisions of Krishna's name, Mukhya and Gona, primary and secondary. And he says that Mukhya Nama Shai, for those persons who take shelter of the primary names, Jiva Pai Sarvasar, they get the greatest benefit, the greatest thing. Shilila Ashray Kori Jata Krishna Nam, say Mukhya Nam Sarva Bhutanam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Shilila Ashray Kori Jata Krishna Nam. Those names that are speaking about Krishna's leelas, his pastimes, are the primary names of the Lord. And Sarva Gunadam, they're the abode of all wonderful qualities. And then he speaks more about Mukhinam, and he gives some examples of what is Mukhinam. Govinda Gopala Ram Shri Nandanandan Raghunatha Hari Yasomati Pramana. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Dana Mohana Shama Sundar Madhava Gopinatha Braja Goparakala Yadavai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Rupa Nitya Lila Prakashadana Kesava Kirtani Jiva Maya Krishna Dame. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. So we give some names, primary names of Krishna: Govinda, Gopal, Sri Nandanandan, Radhanath, Yasomati, Pranadhana, the life of Yasomati, Mother Yashoda, Madana Mohan, the personality who bewilders Cupid, Shama Sundar, Madhava, Gopinath, Braja Gopa Rakal, are examples of names. He says, E Rupa Nitya Lila Prakashaka Nam, that where Krishna's eternal pastimes are manifest in these names. What are some other Mukhya names? Can anyone think of any?
Giridhari.
Giridhari, the holder of Govardhan Hill. Anything else? Just to keep everybody awake. Any other primary names?
Gopi Jana Vallabha.
Gopi Jana Vallabha, very nice. Huh? Madhava? Madhava is one of the primary names Bhaktivinoda mentions in these verses. Anybody else? Giridhari. So he says, Se'esaba Kirtane Jiva Paya Krishna Nam. That by doing kirtan of these names, the living entities, they enter Krishna Dham. They enter into Krishna's abode. And then he says, Gonanama Otahara Lakshana. What are the qualities, the Lakshana, of the secondary names? Jada Prakritira Pariye Nama Jada Prakritira Guna Guna Vedira Samatare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. He says that all the Vedas, Vedira Samata, all all the Vedas, they describe that those names, that Jara Prakritir Pariyayinama Jata, that describe the Lord's relationship with the dull material world, those are Gonanam. Those are secondary names. Shishti Karta Paramatma Brahma Shrikara Jagat Samharta Manta Yagneshwara Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama. So then Bhaktivinoda, he gives some examples of Gonanam, secondary names, huh? Shishtikarta, the person who is the creator of the universe. Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart. Brahma, that person is Brahman. Stitikar, the maintainer. Jagat Samharta, the destroyer of the material worlds. That person is Pata, the protector. Yagyeshwar, the lord of Yagyas. These are all examples of secondary names. Can anyone else think of any other secondary names of the Lord?
Rishikesh.
Rishikesh, the Lord of the senses. Yeah, that's good.
Sankarshan.
Huh?
Sankarshan.
Sankarshan. Can Sankarshan be a secondary name? Some names can be both secondary and primary. Sankarshan can be a name for Balaram, and we can think of him in a Leela kind of way, that he was attracted to the womb of Rohini, thank you. And it could be a Gonanam, in the sense that he's attracting the conditioned souls in this material world. He's transferring them. Anything else? Any other secondary names? A lot of times when you speak of Jagat, the universe, that indicates some material name. Can you think of another name in connection with Jagat? Jagannath. Right. That's a secondary name of the Lord. Okay. Bhaktivinoda continues, Mukhya Ogona Namera Phalabheda. That there's different fruits of this Mukhya Nam and the Gona Nam, the primary names and secondary names. E Rupa Nama Karma Gyanagana. E Rupa Nama Karma Gyanagana. Yamuksha Dana Kori Shastra Samata. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. He says that the Gonanam, the secondary names, they're mentioned in the Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda sections of the Vedas. And when you chant these names, like Shishtikarta, Jagat Samharta, Paramatma, Jagannath, then he says that Dana Kori, Punya Moksha Dana, that they give some piety and they give impersonal liberation. Namirade Mukhya Phala Krishna Prema Tara Mukhya Nami Manjala Sadhana Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. He says, but the Mukhya Nam, the chanting of the primary names, what is the fruit of that? Krishna Prema Dana. It gives Krishna Prem. Tara Mukhya Nama Matra Labe Sadhugam. Only by chanting these primary names can sadhus attain this great treasure of Krishna Prem.
I don't get the difference yet.
Okay.
Confused. Can you
Thank you for
explain
saying
again between the primary and secondary?
You're really good. You're straightforward. I like that. Thank you. So there's two types of names, primary and secondary. We could give a mundane example. Primary name could be Boo Boo. That's what your mother may have called you when you were a little child. No? No? That's why you left home, right? You have many different names. Sometimes when you're cutting somebody off on the road, maybe they have a particular secondary name. And some people may call you student, some people may call you sweetheart, they may call you buddy. But the best name may be Hari Kirtan, because that's your given name. But still, you have other names. Somebody may say, hey, that student, it may be a nickname you have, student, the best student, or you may have a nickname like the truck driver, or this or that. Those are secondary names, because those are not really about you. Those people don't really know you. They just know something that you do. So we could say in a similar way that the President of the United States, somebody's called that. But that's a secondary name for Obama. Obama is a person. And he has personal qualities and things that he likes to do. But there's a secondary designation for him which speaks about his qualities as a president. He's the, I don't know what they call his words are, but he's in charge of all the armed forces.
Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief, and he spies on everybody. They're going to say, I don't know what you call that. They have some four-letter words for that now. So there's a different designation. So in the same way, Krishna has different names also. And his primary names indicate his pastimes. Yashodanandan, that he's the son of Mother Yashoda. He doesn't have to be the son of Mother Yashoda. He's God. And our Gurus sometimes would say that when Uddhava went to Braj, Uddhava tried to convince Nanda and Yashoda, he's not actually your son. He's God. And they looked at him, what the hell are you saying, Uddhava? We thought you were a wise person. You don't know anything. So Krishna likes that name because that indicates how he's being controlled by his devotees. It indicates his Leelananda and the Premananda, as we were mentioning earlier, of his devotees, those two things together. So his secondary names are called Gona, the primary are called Mukhya. The Gona names are like Srishtikarta. He created the universe. He's a bad dude, I would say, in America. He created everything. He destroys everything. You should be nice to him. He gives everything. He gives our daily bread. He's God. He's Yahweh. He's Allah. These are secondary names. These are also names of God. But they're secondary names because they don't speak about his pastimes or his personal qualities. They just speak about his power and things that he does. Okay? You got it now?
A little bit.
Okay. It's a very nice point. It's an important point for our movement also. The Krishna Katha, Krishna Leela is very, very important for us. So, okay, now we've understood that. This is really philosophical, and I want to congratulate everyone for surviving this part of our discussion. Very good. That was a little hard to go through, I understand. Now we can discuss a little more, something sweeter. So, understanding this philosophical point, this foundation, what is going on in Jagannath Puri? How is it that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's addressing Jagannath as Jagannath, and sometimes he calls him Manima. Manima in a real language is like saying, excuse me, sir. And Mother Yashoda didn't ever address her Gopal as Manima, as sir. Radharani never addressed Krishna as Manima. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing that. How do we understand that? There's a very beautiful verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes in the 13th chapter of the Madhya Lila. He sings this in front of Jagannath. And this verse is spoken by the gopis in the 82nd chapter of the 10th canto. This is the chapter which describes the reunion between the Brijbasis, residents of Vrindavan, and Krishna in Kurukshetra. It's a very interesting thing. The gopis only speak one verse in that section. And there's no commentary for most of our acharyas. We found a little bit of a rare commentary. One acharya is saying how there's only one verse because Shukadeva Goswami couldn't bear to repeat what the gopis were saying. It was too painful for him. So I only quoted one verse. And that verse, found in the 82nd chapter of the 10th canto, spoken by the gopis to Krishna in Kurukshetra, was one of the verses spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ratha Yatra in front of Jagannath. Ahushchate nalina nava padara vindam yogeshvarai hridivi chancha magada bodhai samsara kupa patito taranava geham jusam apibana yudhiya sadanaha. I can read you Prabhupada's translation. Prabhupada says, Dear Lord, whose navel is like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the dark well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. Now, if you look closely at this verse, they address Krishna as Yogeshwar, They address him as Nalina Naba, who Nalina Naba means the lotus navel, means where Lord Brahma came from, which indicates the creation of this universe. These are all secondary names. Why are the gopis speaking like this to Krishna? This verse has 3 or 4 different meanings to it. In Sanskrit, there is something called parokshavad. Parokshavad means it has another meaning. How many men here are married? Raise your hand. Married men here. Okay. It's very, very important for married men to understand parokshavad. Parokshavad means your wife tells you something, but she doesn't really mean that. And that's very confusing for a lot of men. For ladies out there, men are just simple guys. When you tell them something, they just think, yeah, she said that, so she must mean it. But women, they're not always like that. They have this parokshavad. I'll give you an example. Maybe it's your wedding anniversary. And you approach your wife and she's been like collecting boga and things to cook a big feast for you for a week. And you come and say, hey, the boys just invited me to go swimming, and is it okay? Do you mind if I go out with the boys today? And she looks at you and she says, fine, go right ahead. What does it mean?
Sure.
It means that if you do that, you're in big trouble. It means that if you do that when you come home, she's not going to be there. I'm going to my father's house. This is parokshavad, in the material sense. That one thing is being said, but a completely different thing is being meant. And this is very difficult for many. Please, ladies. We're not so sharp and subtle sometimes. So we heard, she said, I can go with the boys. What's the problem? I said, I went with the boys. So the gopis are also speaking parokshavad. They're speaking to Krishna in a covered kind of way. In a very, very sweet way. Oshtate nalina naba padada vinda Yogeshwarai hridivichinja magada bodhai. They're coming and saying, oh, excuse us, Bhagavan. We've heard now you've gone to Dwarka, now you're God. Do you still remember that little village called Vrindavan? Do you ever think about the people there? Probably you don't, because Yogeshwara hridivichinja magada bodhai. You're just worshipped now by great yogis and great philosophers. We're not yogis. We're not philosophers. We remember what instructions you gave us through Uddhava. Nonsense instructions. We can't perform yoga. We're not yogis. A yogi is someone who's very peaceful. But we're never peaceful, the gopis are saying, because you left us. And we can't stop thinking about you. How can we do yoga? Sansara kupa patitotaranavalamvam. You probably don't remember us because we're fallen in the sansara coop, in the deep dark well. We're just some village girls, and now you have so many beautiful ladies in Dwarka. Geham jusam api manashyudiyat sadanaha. So you please appear in our minds and our hearts. Really what the gopis are saying is, we don't want you here. We want you back in Vrindavan. So this is parokshavad, and this is also gonanam. These are also secondary names. Just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing Jagannath in Puri. So it's a little difficult thing maybe to understand. Try to understand this. He's Jagannath. He's the Lord of the universe. But that position of being the Lord of the universe makes everything even more sweet. It's described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Aishvarya Priti Sankuchita, that the nature of awe and reverence, Aishvarya, when you worship God as a big man who creates everything and destroys everything, is a Priti Sankuchita. It makes the love shrink. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna was a bosom pal of Krishna. They used to sleep on the same bed. Sometimes they'd eat off the same plate. They were riding on a chariot together, doing so many things. They were very close friends. But when Krishna manifested his Virat Roop, this form of the universal form, Arjuna became afraid. And his devotion for Krishna became shrunken. And he became afraid. He started offering prayers. Oh, Deva, Deva, Jagatpate, you're God, the God of gods, and this and this. But the gopis didn't do that. When the gopis met Krishna at Kurukshetra, and there was so much opulence there, they didn't start offering prayers to Krishna. Well, they did. We just read the verse, but there's a hidden meaning in it. And the gopis, their mood wasn't shrunken. Rather, their mood increased. And this is the nature of Jagannath Puri Dham. Jagannath Puri Dham is a place where the two opposites meet together. Aishvarya and Madhurja, or opulence and sweetness. Srila Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he describes this. Shri Krishna Devasya Sada Priham Tat Kitram Yata Shri Mathura Tataiva Tat Paramaishvarya Bara Prakasha Lokanusari Vyavuhara Ramyam. He says that this Jagannath Puri is very, very dear to Krishna, the same way that Vrindavan is dear. Mathura Mangala. Shri Krishna Deva Shri Sada Priyam Tat is always very, very dear to him. Chaitram Yata Shri Mathura Tataiva, just as Mathura Mangala Braj Bhumi is. Tat Paramaishvarya. But in this place, you will find Bara Prakasha, the manifestation of Paramaishvarya, great, great opulence. But at the same time, Lokanusari Vyavahara Ramyam, there's also very great sweetness there. This is a very enigmatic, difficult thing to understand. Bhagavan manifests different moods. When he wants to enjoy his pastimes, which are known as Madhurja Moya Lila, then he manifests as Swayam Rup Govinda, the son of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, and he's Radha Kanta and Gopi Kanta, the Lord of Radha and the Gopis in Vrindavan. And Balaram manifests himself as Vrindavan Dham, and he enjoys his Madhurja Moya Lila, his sweet pastimes. When the Lord wants to enjoy his Aishvarja Moya Lila, the pastimes which are full of great opulence, then he becomes Lord Narayan. And Srimati Radharani manifests herself as Lakshmi Devi, and Lord Balaram manifests himself as Vaikuntha. When he wants to enjoy some pastimes which are mixed, there's some Nara Lila, but there's also great Aishvarya, then he comes as Bhagavan Ramachandra, and Radharani comes as Sita, and Balaram appears as Ayodhya, and he relishes those kinds of pastimes. When he wants to enjoy something a little sweeter, but still some opulence is there, then he becomes Dwarkadish. And he manifests himself in Dwarka with Rukmini and has different co-wives. And Balaram manifests himself as the abode of Dwarka. So the Lord manifests, the Lord and his devotees manifest in different ways according to his different moods. So if we want to understand a dham, a place, we should understand the mood of the Lord. So what is the mood of Lord Jagannath? Who is Lord Jagannath? Is this a place of opulence or is this a place of sweetness? It's a meeting place of two different worlds. Lord Jagannath, he's Jagannath, he's the Lord of the universe, he's living in the Lakshmi Mandir, the temple of Lakshmi Devi, but one of his names is Gita Govinda Thakur. He's the Lord of the Gita Govinda. And every day, traditionally, they have Gita Govinda recited for Lord Jagannath's pleasure. In this regard, we made a magazine some years ago about the different dresses of Lord Jagannath. And after that magazine was made, we were invited to meet Gajapati Dibya Singh Dev, the current king of Puri. He has a house in Bhubaneswar. And we went to see him and we gave him the magazine. And I thought this is a good opportunity. I should ask him some questions because he's the king of Puri. He knows a lot about Jagannath. I said, Maharaj, we found out about all these different dresses. There's Raja Rajvesh, there's this Bhadra Shringara Vesh, so many different Veshes. But one dress, I could not find the story behind. I found out about details of all the different items of it, but I couldn't find the story. He said, what is that? I said, that's the Suna Vesh. Suna in Oriya means Sona. In Bengali it means gold, the golden dress. Very famous dress of Lord Jagannath. I think we have a picture of it here in the magazine also. This is many people's most popular dress of Lord Jagannath. And it's interesting that in Jagannath Puri, when they have Ratha Yatra, sometimes they may have 400,000 or 500,000 people. And then a few days later, a week or so later, they have the Bahuda Rath, and Jagannath returns back to the Sri Mandir. And at that time, just before he goes back inside the temple, he wears another dress, which is called Sunavesh, or the golden dress. And on that day, they say that between the three deities, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, they have over 1 ton of gold on. They have a gold crown, they have gold earrings, gold necklaces, so much gold like anything. I'm pretty sure there's a picture of this magazine. So I couldn't find the history, the story behind that pastime, that dress. So when we went to see Gajapati Maharaj, I asked him, you've seen pictures of this perhaps sometimes. Jagannath has golden hands and golden feet, very famous. Gaudiya Vaishnavas generally don't like to see him like that, although it's really popular thing. Everybody thinks this is really far out. This is really cool. Not in there, maybe in here. So I asked Gajapati Maharaj, what is the story behind this dress? Yeah. This is the Sunavesh of Lord Jagannath, this golden dress. You can pass that around. So I asked Gajapati Maharaj, what is the story behind this dress? And he's such a very simple, genuine devotee. The nature of a devotee is they're honest. They don't try to pretend there's something they're not. And he looked for me, thought for a moment, he said, tell you the truth, I don't know. He wasn't trying to impress me that, I'm the king of Puri, I'm whatever. He said, I don't know. He said, but one thing is there. And he directed me to go and visit the Rajguru, who is traditionally the guru of the Gajapati dynasty and their family. You go and ask him, because they keep the records of the Jagannath temple, and he can answer your question. So I went there, a little paper, hey, Gajapati Maharaj sent me, should please answer my question. And he told me a story. Maybe it's getting a little late. Should we stop? Or should we tell the story? Please tell me. Okay? Should we tell some story? Okay. So, this story dates back about 1,000 years. There is a king of Puri named Anantavarma Chodaganga. He ruled from about 1078 to 1147. That's his lifetime. And he's credited for having built the present temple of Jagannath in Puri. Most of the parts of the Bhoga Mandap was created later by another king and some other things. But he built the main temple. Now you may ask, well, wait a minute, I thought that it was created in Satya Yuga by Indradyumna Maharaj originally. They say that under the Jagannath Mandir today there's another temple, and under that there's another temple, and under that is another temple, and over the millennium they've built temples on top of temples. So the current temple that's there today is about 1,000 years old. Anandavarma Chodaganga is said to have been a direct disciple of Ramanujacharya. So he was a great devotee of Jagannath, so much so that he liked to dress Jagannath. You can't say that about a lot of temple administrators or personalities, but he liked to dress Jagannath, and he used to go quite often to dress Jagannath. And when he would dress Jagannath, he would dress him in a very opulent style, because he's a king. That's what kings are into. They're into swords and weapons and gold and jewels and all kinds of things like that. So he did like that. And every day when he would finish dressing, there was another pujari there whose name was Dineshwar Sharma. And Dineshwar Sharma didn't like to see Jagannath dressed like that. And so after Chodaganga would leave, Dineshwar Sharma would go in and take it all off. And he'd dress Jagannath again with some peacock feathers and flowers and in the mood of brunch. And the king didn't have any idea this was going on. One day, he left his sword or something on the altar. He went back to his palace and then he remembered, oh, I left this thing. So he went back there after half an hour and he found, much to his shock, that Jagannath, someone had taken off the dress that he put on him and given him a different dress. And Chodaganga was furious. Chanakya Pandit says that don't mess with a sleeping tiger or a sleeping snake or a sleeping king. They're very dangerous. So Chodaganga became so angry and he called for everyone and said, hey, who did this? And all the Pandits were shaking. Wasn't me. And finally Dineshwar Sharma, he stepped forward, he said, I did it. He said, it's not right. You shouldn't be dressing Jagannath in such an opulent way. He's Radhanath. He's Gopinath. He's the Lord of Radha and the Gopis. He's Vrindavan Bihari. He likes his Braj Leela more than he does any other pastimes. And therefore he should be dressed in this way. And Chodaganga became furious. He said, he is the Lord of the universe. And you want to dress him like a village boy? Huh? What is this? This is not appropriate. There's not enough wealth in my whole kingdom to properly dress him. There's not enough wealth in the whole universe to properly dress him. And you want to dress him like a village boy. They had a problem getting along. So they decided to go to visit one rishi. His name was Mudagal Rishi. This Mudagal Rishi was a local sadhu, lived a little ways outside of Puri. And they went to him, and each one of them presented their case. The king was saying that he's Lakshminath, he's Vaikuntanath, he's Lakshmipati, the Lord of Lakshmi and Vaikuntha, and he should have so much opulence. And the Ganeshwar Sharma was saying, no, he's Yashoda Nandan, he's the son of Mother Yashoda, Vrindavan Bihari, he likes his Braj Leela the best. And they couldn't agree. And Mugadal Rishi was in a very difficult situation. How do you say who's right and who's wrong? So being very intelligent, he said, well, it's difficult for me to give an answer. Tell you what, you both stay here in the ashram, and he arranged for separate rooms so they didn't fight. You stay here in the ashram, and he arranged prasad, and let me think about it for a few days, and I'll get back to you. So on the first day, they brought some Jagannath Mahaprasad to Dineshwar Sharma. And the Pandits in Puri, they chant many different mantras over the Mahaprasad before they take prasad traditionally. And so he did Achaman, and he closed his eyes and began chanting his mantras. Om Swasino Govindaha, Swasino Jutantanto, Swasino Vasudevo Vishnu Didatu. So many different verses and mantras. And after a few minutes he opened his eyes, and the prasadam was gone. That's weird. Okay, whatever. Krishna wants me to eat, he'll give me food. If he doesn't want me to eat, he won't give me anything. What to do? So he fasted that day. The next day, they brought him Jagannath Mahaprasad again. He closed his eyes, chanting his mantra, opened his eyes, and prasad was gone. This happened for 3 days in a row. On the fourth day, he was, what's going on? This is so weird. So he had his eyes like half shut. And as he was chanting his mantras with his eyes half shut, he saw a really old man come into the room. He was so old, his hands were shaking, his whole body was shaking. And the old man bent down and picked up the plate of Mahaprasad and started walking away with it. And then Ishwar Sharma said, hey, old man, who are you? What's going on? The old man, who couldn't hear so well, became frightened and said, oh, now I'm in big trouble. And he started running. And Dineshwar Sharma said, no, it's okay. And he started running after him. The old man became more frightened. He started running even faster. And then the old man tripped on something. And he fell. And he smashed his head on the stone floor. And he died. And Dineshwar Sharma was just shocked. I was hearing all this from the chief, the Rajguru. It's a pretty far out story. And Dineshwar Sharma then thought, what should I do? I have to do some prayashchitta, some kind of atonement to make up for this sinful thing I've done. And this old man, he's a Brahmin, and he wanted Jagannath Prasad, and because of me, he's dead. This is terrible. So what can I do? So he knew Smriti Shastra, and he thought to himself, oh, the only atonement that I can do for killing a Brahmin like this, I have to burn his body, and then I have to enter the fire myself, kill myself. That's the only atonement that I can do. So he created a big fire, and he burned the body of that old man, and then Dineshwar Sharma started to enter the fire. At that time, Lord Jagannath, who is known as Yogeshwar, the Lord of Yagya, came out of the fire, and he stopped him. He said, Dineshwar, what are you doing? You're my dear devotee. Don't kill yourself like this. And then Dineshwar said, and he told him the whole story. He said, that king, opulent dress, I didn't like that. I came here to the Mahaprasad, the old man told the whole story again. And the Lord told him, it's okay. And he put him down on his right leg. He sat him down in his lap and patted him on the back. And he said, you're my dear devotee. He said, I like your dress. Meanwhile, while all these amazing things were going on, standing behind a column, watching the whole thing, was Maharaj Choda Gangadev, the king of Puri. And he started crying. And he came forward and he fell on the ground. He said, I'm an offender. I'm an aparadi. I thought I was such a big king. I'm so important. I didn't know that you like the dress of this Dineshwar Sharma. And therefore I was dressing you in such an opulent way. I'm an offender, please forgive me. And then Lord Jagannath picked him up and put him on his other leg and patted him on the back and said, I also like your dress. So the Rajaguru then he concluded, he said that Jagannath accepts the dresses of both Dineshwar Sharma and Chodaganga Dev. Chodaganga Dev, he wears the dresses at Chodaganga Dev a few times a year, and they're known as Raja Raj Vesh, or Ram Vesh, Suna Vesh. 3 or 4 times a year they dress him up in very, very opulent ways. But he accepts the dress offered to him by Dineshwar Sharma every day. And that dress is known as Bada, which in Oriya means the same in Bengali as Boro, a great Bada, Sringara Vesh, or the dress, or the great Sringara Rasa. And that evening it's also known as Gita Govinda Vesh, because Jagannath, he wears a special dress called Gita Govinda Kandua. And they take, from the village of Jayadev Goswami, they make a sari with some verses from Gita Govinda written on it. We met a very amazing lady in Puri around this time. Her name is Nalini Patnaik. And here's a picture of Nalini Patnaik. Nalini Patnaik doing her service. Every day she has a special service. She takes tulsi leaves, boga tulsi leaves, and she writes one word from Gita Govinda in those tulsi leaves. And every night when Jagannath wears his Bada Shringara Vesh, they take those tulsi leaves and they paste them to Jagannath's heart. And they make little garlands with them and they hang them in different places. That Bada Shringara Vesh is the last dress of the day. And they say that at that time, the Srimati Radharani and all the gopis, they come to have darshan of Jagannath. So our revered spiritual master, he used to say that Jagannath is Aishvarja Madhurja Yugala Milan. He's a combined form of both opulence and sweetness. Both things are there in Jagannath. 2 great contradictions. This Aishvarya, which generally makes the sweetness shrunken, it generally makes the love shrunken, it doesn't make it shrunken in Kurukshetra. And that opulence doesn't make the love shrunken in Jagannath Puri, rather it enhances it. When the gopis see Krishna dressed in all these golden ornaments and all these elephants and soldiers and warriors with him of the Yadu dynasty, they say, we don't want to see you like this. We want to see you in Vrindavan. We want to see you with your vamsi, your flute, with a forest garland around your neck. We want to see you with Srimati Radharani and the gopis. We want you at Govardhan. We want you at Vamsivad on the bank of the Jamuna. We want you there. And those feelings become very, very intense. It's not that when they see his opulence, their feelings of love go away or they're minimized. They're enhanced. So this same feeling is there in Jagannath Puri Dham. And therefore we've described a little something about how the Lord manifests himself in different moods in different places. He has one mood in Vrindavan, he has another mood when he manifests his pastimes in Vaikuntha, another mood in Ayodhya, another mood in Dwarka. And his devotees and the Dham itself manifest in a different way to enhance those particular pastimes. So then what is Jagannath Puri Dham? Jagannath Puri Dham is the place of Aishvarya, great opulence, and the place of great sweetness. And this is described by Sanatana Goswami, Sri Krishna Devasya Sada Priyamtat Chaitanya Shri Maturata Taiva Tat Paramaishvarya Bara Prakasha Lokanusari Vyavahari Ramya. But there's both sweetness and opulence there. There are 3 dhams which are important to Gaudiya Vaishnavas: Vrindavan Dham, Navadvip Dham, and Jagannath Puri Dham. Vrindavan Dham is Madhurja Moya Dham, the place of great sweetness. Navadvip Dham is Odarja Moya Dham. It's the place of great munificence, the place of great kindness. And what is Jagannath Puri? Jagannath Puri is Sri Kshetra, the place of Lord of Lakshmi Devi. It's a place of great opulence. But our revered spiritual master said that Sri Kshetra has another meaning. It indicates Sarva Angsini Radhika, Srimati Radharani, who's the source of Lakshmi Devi. So both things are there. There's great opulence in Jagannath Puri, but there's also great sweetness which is hidden by the opulence, and is also munificence, great kindness. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saved Maharaj Prataparudra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Lord Jagannath there manifests his form as Petit Pavan, who's there to give mercy to all the devotees who come. You don't even have to go inside the temple. He's standing outside the temple. There he is. Petit Pavan Jagannath, waiting to see all of his foreign devotees. It's a place of great kindness. All three things are there in Jagannath Puri, but they're mixed in a certain way, just like when we make kitchery, we make some sabji, you mix within it a certain amount of spices. If you put too much of some spice, it ruins the whole thing. So there's a certain effect which is created in Jagannath Puri with this opulence and this sweetness, when they're combined together. And this is Lord Jagannath and Jagannath Puri Dham. So tomorrow we'd like to say a little something more about this. And we'll speak about Jagannath and Radharani, and we'll tell this story, Three Logs of Wood, with a little more things that we've heard over the years from some different Vaishnavas and found out about the history of the worship of Radharani, and how the history, the Gaudiya Vaishnava history of Radharani deities began not in Vrindavan. Before Radharani was worshipped in Braj, she was worshipped in Orissa. And we'll speak something about that in connection with Lord Jagannath. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki jai, Premanandi Vanchakopri Any questions or comments from anyone? Is that okay, Hari Kirtan Prabhu? Any questions or comments? Maybe we can do kirtan for just a couple minutes, enough time rather than Swarja Majuja Yugal Milan Jagannath Swami Ki Jagannath Baladev Shimata Siva Dimai Sudarshan Juva Ki Jagannath Ratha Yatra Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Premanande
Haribol.
Thank you.
Haribol.
Prabhuji, I know you from somewhere.
Het zijn ze gisteren al, ja.
Maybe just your smiling face just strikes a chord.
Maybe, I don't know.
Ik hoorde dat ik in Antwerpen is.
You went to Rotterdam?
Ja, ik moet wijs
That was
zijn.
last year.
Last year, no.
Ik had andere gedaan, weet je. En dat te zoeken, niet weet je, weet je wel.
Sorry.
You okay?
Voor mij is het,
En